Waking up after an emotional argument with your eye wings still on fleek. So in the previous episode, Nolan punched this wall in a display of anger. But does punching a wall in anger give you any kind of emotional release when you can also punch through asteroids? This has to be like you or I punching through toilet paper, right? Here we see Adam Eve using her powers to make coffee, including manually boiling the water. Look, I still don't fully understand what her powers are, and no, I'm not going to research them, you nerd. But can she not just rearrange the atoms of the air itself to create a steaming cup of morning go juice instead of going through all these steps? Why does she even need go juice? Coffee brand coffee. Bork.
You need to trust me.
She does not. Debbie has confronted Nolan with proof that he murdered the Guardians. So does he really expect her to trust him that this was all for the greater good just because that's what obedient, well-behaved wives are supposed to do? Also, this show's beginning to soap opera so hard that I'm having flashbacks to my grandmother yelling, "Don't you dare trust him!" at the TV screen while stress-eating Werther's Originals.
We'll talk later.
Nolan is addicted to Debbie, 2 ceilings, a floor, and a roof.
Hey!
Mark, it's Mom. Listen to me.
I'm not around.
People that do this with their voicemail.
Come on, this is dumb.
Yes, diverting our attention away from the main story to give us more of this will they won't they relationship B-plot is dumb.
This is why I'm always late or why I don't show.
Forget interrogation or torture, the power of boners is apparently all it takes for a superhero to reveal their identity.
Then why are we fighting?
We're fighting because you lied to me. You made me feel stupid and unimportant.
It's a secret identity.
Mark would be at TVSins.
So much for welcome back. Congrats for not dying.
Premature being an ungrateful brat, or whatever the opposite of celebration is. Indoor fireworks. If the flying pieces of superheated plastic don't get you, the unannounced PTSD-inducing explosion sure will. That's a guarantee.
We're the guardians of the globe, baby. If we can die at any time, we can drink at any time.
This logic's not exclusive to the Guardians. Anything that's alive can die at any time, and anything that's alive can drink at any time, assuming it has a mouth, a digestive system, and is of legal age to drink iced tea. Now, just give the show a sin for acting like Rex was capable of making a good point.
But I'm lactose intolerant.
Whoa, hold on. Do you know me at all? I filled them with beer.
I know Rex is all kinds of unhinged, but this beer situation must be addressed. I don't care how well he cleaned these cartons, and we all know he didn't. There's still going to be an unsettling amount of milk switching around that beer.
Why are you never this industrious when it involves training?
The manager at every job I've ever had. I mean, except this one, of course. Can I refill your coffee, Mr. Sinny?
I swear to God, he had his head on the bench and he was just standing over it, prying it open with a Phillips head screwdriver.
Oh, come on. No one's using a Phillips head screwdriver to pry open a complex piece of machinery like Robot's head. You'd obviously use a flathead for that.
There. I am alone and helpless.
Despite 2/3 of the Blue Man Group acknowledging this is likely bullshit, they'll take Baby Robo at his word, which results in them being swindled. Gotta love villains who are exactly as dumb or as smart as the plot needs them to be. Sorry, love and sin are listed in the TVSins thesaurus as synonyms.
I'm a terrible friend and a worse boyfriend because I'm...
Ah, quick, do the thing.
You're like a bad guy in a samurai movie who gets cut in half but thinks they're fine until they're like, oh my God, my top half's sliding away from my bottom half.
One cheeseburger was harmed in the making of this simile. Also, putting the cheese on the bottom bun instead of the top of the burger like a society-hating sociopath. Also filling up on the cheese and bun half of your bifurcated burger instead of making sure you have room for the heart attack and bun half. Also, what kind of monster goes to the effort of setting out their ketchup burger and fries only to leave before eating a single bite of it? Are there any heroes left in this world? Velma Dinkley doesn't have a bigger part in this episode. There's a literal lorem ipsum text up here on this monitor. I don't know whether to add a sin for laziness or remove a sin for ballsiness. Nah, I'm lying. I know exactly what to do.
There's only one person I know who might be able to go toe-to-toe with Omni-Man and come out on top, Debbie.
Why would Cecil think that Debbie is the best way to get to Adam Eve? Wouldn't it be better to just...
Where's Mark, Debbie?
No, you. Robert Kirkman continues his crusade against 20th century innovators by using flathead screws to do the hard work of keeping Rudy's skull in place instead of the far more useful crosshead screws invented by Mr. Henry F. Phillips.
This procedure doesn't transfer you to the new body. It creates a copy of your mind.
Let's just file that under things Rudy should definitely know already, but thank you for the clone's position.
Of course, his brain's abnormal. You didn't think of that? Look at it!
Couple of things here. One, they only just found out this is what Robot actually looks like, so how could he have planned for that? And two, you are literally his clone, so why didn't you think of that too?
His motor cortex is the size of a pea. Same for his occipital and parietal lobes. They've all been eaten alive by his oversized cerebrum.
While writing this in, I learned that the cerebral cortex is the outermost layer of the cerebrum and houses the 4 major lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. So either Thing 1's description of what's happened to Robot's brain is not quite accurate, or brain surgery is way more complicated than I think it is, and I should probably put this scalpel down.
Compensating now.
Which apparently is as easy as twiddling 2 wires together. I mean, this repair job would have been less ridiculous if he'd attempted a simple percussive adjustment. The laughable idea that a progress bar wouldn't quickly go to 98%, giving the illusion that it's almost finished, but then take an hour to reach climax after 4 or 5 attempts and at least 1 reboot. Electricity, screaming, fire, excitement?
I'm sorry it wasn't you.
I think I understand the sentiment, but what a bizarre thing to be sorry about. In all the ways that matter, he is him. I mean, other than now occupying the body of a younger version of a hero who he didn't consult or receive consent from before cloning, but we've got the rest of the season to explore. There's only 1 episode left? And they're just pulling this shit now?
And now that our deal is complete, it's time you both return to prison.
If Rudy intends on taking them both to prison, why did he bother handing over the schematics to the collar? Of course, the answer is that the writers needed the roided Smurfs to have the collar so they can bring back the Immortal. Apparently the show was 3 minutes short on runtime and way underspent on their animated blood budget. Rudy is a genius, but apparently that genius only extends to making slightly bigger robots. Judging by Mark's choice of dartboard placement, a disregard for human life must run in the family.
He's not dead. Even after evacuating the neighborhood, we had to keep the yield down. Best it'll do is knock him on his ass for an hour or 2.
Holy shit. Cecil just wasted a lot of people's lives. Evacuating the neighborhood ahead of time means he was always planning to have Donald blow that place, so what was the point of sending the soldiers into the house at all? If he knew that even this explosion wasn't going to do the job, what chance did they have? Texting and flying.
So I'm helping you today.
Seeing all of this going on in the world, but deciding to help Mark with his girl problems. Perhaps after all this time, poor AIM is actually a clone thing, not just a stormtrooper thing.
Advantage to being a clone. We always know what the other one is thinking.
Confusing cloning with telepathy. I'd argue even the slightest variation in life experience would have an effect on one's thoughts, to the extent that the longer each clone was alive, the less likely they'd be to be able to know what the other is thinking. But I'm not a doctor, so I'm going to send this for being a finishing each other's sentences cliche.
Where's Mark, William?
Amber dumped him, and he didn't like my advice, so he went to go find Eve.
Bullshit! Does he know that? It ended up being true, but Mark stormed off without mentioning a thing about where he was going. If you're going to be labeled a snitch, at least be a factually accurate snitch.
How do we know you're telling the truth?
Ask me something only Robot would know.
Despite the sound logic of this idea, they forego any meaningful question and answer segment, making us all wonder why it was even brought up in the first place.
How the f do you look like me?
That is a much longer story, one that can wait.
It's actually a very short story. While in the body of a robot, 30-year-old Rudy developed feelings for a 24-year-old monster girl, despite her being in the body of a 10-year-old. He exploited her attraction to Rex by cloning his body and transferring his consciousness into it so that she'd fall in love with him and they live a life of sciencing shit together. Look, I said it was short, not that it wasn't super fucking creepy.
Can't you use your teleporter to bring Mark and Eve back here?
You need to be wearing one of these.
But it could have rescued poor fucking Donald, right?
You wouldn't dare.
Breaking the fourth wall. Not even Omni-Man shall stop our sin rays. Sorry. But seriously, why is Omni-Man making out like this laser beam is such a big deal when he seems to have no issues Rickon Starking his way through it so he can blow up the source? A literal murder of crows.
$400 billion for the world's most expensive nosebleed.
Tony Montana, 1984.
So you lied to us about who you really were, freed the Maulers from prison, stole Rex's DNA, conspired with criminals to grow yourself a new body, and you expect us all to be like, oh sure, who wouldn't?
Well, yeah, when you say it like that, it sounds pretty ridiculous. However, let's not forget that the person pointing out said ridiculous situation was written by the same person who created said ridiculous situation to begin with.
The world was fine before I came along. It'll be fine without my help. Better, probably.
I'm sure it's likely a deliberate juxtaposition, but the Mark is moody and miserable about being a teenage superhero B plot really undercuts the fun of the Catch Omni-Man A plot. And now many minutes of Omni-Man being pummeled by mindless robots who can't possibly hurt him. Yes, I'm both asking to get back to the Omni-Man action and sitting the Omni-Man action. Welcome to TVSins. Further proof that every universe needs an Edna mode. This creature's impressive, but it can't even fly. So here's a sin for all the other possible routes Omni-Man could and should have taken to get past it.
That should buy us 5 minutes or so.
I mean, you could have easily doubled that if you made your move as soon as the zombie robot soldiers started attacking, instead of sitting back and enjoying the show.
Teleport me to Invincible's location.
Can't, sir. Hail Mary was so big she'd burn out the teleport.
Teleporters? More like teleplotters, am I right? See, because they only work when the plot needs them to. I'll move on.
Get to Guardians HQ.
What? Cecil!
Listen to me and do what I say.
Or you could fucking tell her that Omni-Man murdered everyone instead of playing the situational equivalent of the pronoun game with her. Also, why is using Adam Eve and the new Guardians to take down Omni-Man the backup to the backup to the backup plan instead of being the actual plan? If this creature does take out Omni-Man, what the do they call to take it out?
Omni-Man! You bastard!
Yay! A fight between a being we have no reason to believe is even remotely killable and another being who is literally called the Immortal and who we have already seen die horribly and return to life. Who needs stakes to keep the audience invested when you have two men punching each other really hard? Me. I do.
We need to talk.
Roll commercials. Holy shit, that actually worked this time.
Begin laser ignition!
Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties, cause it's cold out there.
It's cold out there every day.
I finally rest and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe.
Were you blackmailed? Did they threaten me or Mark?
No.
Then why?
You need to trust me.
Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Come with me if you want to live.
No, never. You can't.
Where's Mark, Debbie? Where's
Waldo? Where's Waldo?
Hello. Okay. New teeth. That's weird.
Autobots, transform and roll out. Advantage to being a clone.
I don't know, it's kind of like we almost finish each other's sentences. If you deliberately sabotage my band, I will f*** you like a pig. Now, are you a rusher or are you a dragger?
That is a much longer story. One that can wait until whatever crisis this is has been resolved.
By all means, Dr. Selden, speak.
It's over 9,000!